Cheers, I do, buckaroos. How the heck are you? I am Tom the Beer Whisperer, although I may have some wine a little bit later with you as well. Bear with me while I try to do something real quick. That's been not working with me lately. I'm not sure why. Let me fix this up here real quick. Then you'll have my undivided attention. I keep trying to change the privacy, but it always goes back to shit. Go. Wow, I don't know why I did that either. I don't know what's going on with my equipment today. Anyways, that should be set now. Got that set to public. Anyway, how the heck are you? I am Tyler Beer Whisperer, and happy Cinco de Mayo to you. Um, okay. Happy Cinco de Mayo to you. It's something that we usually do something here. In fact, um, so we thought about going out today. Actually, then we made a decision not to. But I had a chuck roast actually that I needed to cook. So why does I keep doing that? What's going on with this thing today? It's weird. Huh. Keeps wanting to fuzz out on me. Anyway, anyway, so anyway, I had a chuck roast had to be used, so I thought about a couple of different applications, and in the end, I decided to go with some chili Colorado with it. Slow cook, cube it, slow cook it, and in a deep, rich red sauce. Use the chilies of your choice that you like to use. I did make a nice, deep, rich red sauce. I don't know why this is doing that. I can't figure out what's going on. It's never done that to me before. I can't figure it out. Anyway, know if I've got a setting off here or something. I'm not sure what the hell's going on. Anyways, I digress. How the heck are you? So I made some chili Colorado that my wife and I had earlier today. Some chili Colorado my wife and I had earlier today. With some black beans, and then just now, about an hour ago, before I started the show, I decided to have a chili Colorado black bean burrito. See, it's the same thing, but served a little different. Oh, and the first one was the chili Colorado black bean. I did a quesadilla. So I still have the same tortilla, still have the same cheese, same everything. But instead of serving it deconstructed, if you will, this time I served it all in the tortillas, the burritos. So I don't know what's going on with this thing. I can't figure it out, man. Um, anyway, I had realized I had some sangria earlier today, but I realized I had some Tecates out there, so I decided to grab a couple. And if that's not enough, I've got some wine here I'm going to finish with you. Didn't have a lime left, but I didn't really feel like going to the store. Tecate. It is my favorite Mexican beer, but a lot of that could be the memories attached to it. In all honesty, it's the beer that I drank a lot as a youngster growing up in California. It was my Mexican beer of choice. Before there was a lot of Mexican beer choices, I was never a fan of Corona, to be honest with you. I think Corona's always been overrated. Corona has always been that what it was then. It was that yuppie beer, right? It has absolutely no flavor whatsoever. But some folks thought it was better for whatever reason. Anyway, Sláinte. My first beer in a few days. I've been drinking a lot of beer lately. I've been cutting back. I'm feeling a little bloated, so I've been cutting back on beer. I haven't bought any in quite some time. And I wasn't going to have any today. Then I saw that Tecate in there and figured, oh, I probably better dig it out. Since it is Cinco de Mayo after all. After all, man, it is Cinco de Mayo. So anyway, so anyway, so I wasn't planning on doing a video this week for a few reasons. One, there was a show that I had originally had planned to do, but the two folks I would need to do the show with, because we had a certain topic in mind, our schedules didn't align. So I didn't really have time to try to dig up another guest. And I really didn't decide to do this particular show until yesterday when I had this. So we'll do a little monologuing today, if you will. And a situation come up yesterday. It was rather bizarre with a cousin that I'm not extremely close with. You know, I guess we might have been close for a very short time, maybe a 2 to 3 year period way back when, but we've kind of drifted apart. We don't really know anything about each other. We don't really want anything to do with each other, but there we are on social media. Well, me being me, I'm a bit of a smartass, and that's uh, my family will tell you. Yeah, and I don't suffer fools well, right? If you're gonna knowingly post something stupid, if I know different, I will post something else, or comment on it, if you will. So he got upset with something I commented on. He eventually deleted the post, and as far as I was concerned, it was over with. I hadn't seen anything else by him. But then he sent me a couple messages, well, actually, a couple memes. Actually, it started with a couple memes through Messenger yesterday. Attacking, well, just basically with his point of view, actually. So I sent a couple back, and then he got mad. So rather than attack my idea, or my point of view, he decided to attack me personally. And he decided to attack me personally with my past, right? Or more to the point, or his version of the past, his version of things that I did back then, or his version of the way things happen. He didn't want to attack my idea. He attacked me personally. So me being a smartass, I got smartass right back. I said, uh, "I'd like to engage in a battle of wits with you, but it seems you are unarmed." And then he just got mad. And then went on this big old rant, and naming again, going through my entire past as he saw it. I thought, well, what does that have to do with anything? So he couldn't attack my idea on merit, so wanted to discredit me personally, which again, to discredit me personally, to discredit my point of view. And when I pointed out all the various falsehoods in his theory, if you will, that just made him more mad. So I told him, "Hey, contact contact my siblings. I'm not going to mention their names. Their contact these two. I mean, if you don't believe the what I'm telling you, this is the truth. Just call them, and they'll tell you." And he went on to big long rant with absolutely no punctuation and a whole lot of caps. Again, just bringing up the past as he saw it. So I tried to. My dad had this phrase, "looking up a dead horse's ass." So I said, "Why are you looking at the past?" So I said, "Why are you?" So to borrow my dad's phrase, "Why are you looking up a dead horse's ass?" Or why do you feel the need to do so? Whatever's done is done. I mean, we knew each other for a very short period way back when. It's been 30 years since I've seen you. It's been a decade and a half since I've talked to you, and you were drunk off your ass when you called in. So I don't know why you feel the need to live in the past. I like to think that neither one of us, or that person, I said, whoever you think I was back then, that person doesn't exist anymore, if they ever did. But it seems like the more I threw logic into the discussion, the more it pissed him off. So, I mean, I can only deal with so much for so long, and then I revert back to just, being a smartass. Back in school, if you wanted to insult anybody, I was the guy that folks came to, because I have a ability, I guess, if you will, to know the pressure points. I really can find a way to how to piss a certain person off. So, once I saw that he wasn't going to, once I saw he wasn't going to pay attention to logic, the truth, or anything. He was dead set in his way, in his little cognitive dissonance, that nothing was going to change his mind. And I said, screw it. And then again, so I don't unfriend folks often, and I've never unfriended family members, even a cousin. But yeah, there are times once we've got to that point, once I know you are beyond logic, once I know you are incapable of rational thought, then I will keep hammering the point home until you unfriend or block me. And that's what he did. I knew when I posted that last when I put that last comment up, I knew he was going to say one last thing. You do a hit and run and unfriend me, or block me. I did. And that's exactly what he did. He said you had to get the last word in, which made absolutely no sense at all. But then he blocked me. So you go. The point of all that is to say, why do people feel the need to look up a dead horse's ass? Why do people feel the need to hang on to memories uh, of hate? Right? I mean, if that's the version of me he wants to remember, hey, more power to you. But I guess the question is why. Not only did he form these bizarre memories that are nowhere close to the truth, is that he felt the need to hang on to them. That's the me he chooses to remember for whatever reason. And nothing I've done since then is going to change his mind. I mean, he had some just bizarre thoughts about things that are nowhere near true. And the more I pointed out and was able to prove it wasn't, or at least steer him to folks that could tell me, hey, talk to so and so, they will tell you that this is the truth. He wanted none of that. And as much as I'm not necessarily an advocate for burning bridges, but I'm not afraid to either. And here's why. Uh, because you don't always need to go back, right? You don't always need to go back to that place. I think sometimes that bridge has to be burned. You have to burn that bridge to keep yourself from going back to, being around toxic people. Once you've come to that conclusion that this person is toxic and they are no longer good for any part of you, there was no reason to be around this person. You have absolutely nothing in common with this person. You can't think of one logical reason why you need this person in your life. There is nothing wrong with burning that bridge, especially once they have proven to you that they intend on staying toxic, that is who they are. They are toxic. They you know, I want to shy away from using the word evil, but yeah, they are toxic, and they want nothing to do but bring you down. They're not interested in who you are now, only who they thought you were at one time. So yeah, there it is. That was my little monologue there. Uh, as we knock back that first Tecate, I guess. So I didn't get out to the store today, so I didn't buy other things that I might need, like a lime. I just didn't want to get out to get anything. And tequila is my mortal enemy. I haven't had tequila in a very long time. I think the last time I had tequila was in El Paso when I lived in El Paso. And you can't live in El Paso without drinking tequila. As much as you try to. I mean, I would even go to different places. It didn't matter what restaurant or bar that I went to. It seemed I would always run into somebody I know, and there would be a shot of tequila in front of me. And it's rude not to drink it when somebody buys it for you. Although I will say it is quite possible that, maybe in the last decade I might have had a shot or two with my friend Frank, but we drink more bourbons. But it's possible some tequila could have happened. I just don't remember. But I do remember drinking more in El Paso than I would have liked to. But it's not, like I said, it's not an option. It's funny though, because it seems like no matter what restaurant or bar I went to, I'd always run into somebody I knew that would buy a shot of tequila. 'Cause that's what everybody drank in El Paso, is tequila. Oh God, here we go. The worst hangover of my life was from tequila, and every time I have some, it brings that particular memory back. Jeff says, I'm also afraid of tequila. My worst ever drinking experience was centered around tequila. Yeah, I hear that. I'm going to post that comment, Jeff. Yeah, see, me too. Because there's this time I liked tequila, and once you like tequila, you think you can drink a certain amount, and I went way above what I should have drank at that particular time in my life, anyway. And once you have a tequila hangover, that one sticks with you forever. There was a period of time every time I smelled tequila, I almost hurled. I didn't even get near to you. Oh, yeah, that's one. Oh my God, here we go. Here we go, Martha. Uh, I did spend, I don't know, just about a year in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and then just about a year in El Paso, Texas, more or less. couple years in that general vicinity. Anyway, they're not that far from each other. That was a very interesting period of my life. I was working for the evil retail empire, without mentioning any names. Most of you will know what I'm talking about. I was transferred from here, Springfield, Missouri, to Las Cruces, and then I was promoted to El Paso. Um, I took a promotion to get out there, and I got another promotion to move me to El Paso. But yeah, I enjoyed being out there. I loved the area. I met a lot of great people out there, especially the staff I had in El Paso. They really loved me. They were very loyal. Uh, Somebody come. What do you think about mothers being sold? I assume he's talking about the brewery and not somebody's individual mother. I hope we're not making it illegal or making it legal to sell mothers now. But there's no telling with this particular Republican Congress. Mother's Brewery. I honestly haven't heard if that's a thing. I haven't heard, and the truth is, I don't care. You know, it is sad when a local brewery becomes part of a larger entity. For me, anyway. But I suppose it was. I suppose it was bound to happen. I bet I was telling some friends, some beer friends, not long ago. I was telling some beer friends not long ago that somebody was asking about it. So I don't know, but I feel like they're big enough big enough to be bought out, right? Because a brewery has to be big enough to get noticed, and once those big guys notice you, and I figure that with the distribution that Mothers was adding, they were big enough to get on somebody's radar to be bought out. So yeah, I am sad because they were the first. Well, they were the first production brewery, I guess, in town. But it was bound to happen. I like Mother's fine. I don't have anything ill to say about it. But have I don't. I don't buy a lot from them anymore. They just kind of went a different direction for my particular beer taste, let's say. But I do have some friends that work out there, so I'm kind of sad for that. And I hope most of my friends can, or folks I know, can keep their jobs. Without knowing the details, I really can't respond much more than that. Because again, there are some entities that are better than others, right? Sometimes breweries will do better once a larger entity buys them, and some will do worse. And it kind of depends on which entity is buying. And without knowing that, that's really all I can say on the matter. Uh, oh, mercy. If anybody wants to be part of this video, let me know and I'll send you the link. But other than that, I may run this one a little bit shorter than my typical hour because I just wanted to get a couple of things off my chest here. Because I usually do a 7 o'clock Friday video, but I decided to combine it with my At the Pub podcast as well. Why don't you do as many beer reviews anymore? Well, I've never thought of myself as a beer reviewer in the first place. I'm just a guy that's talked about beers, and why don't I do as many? Well, life happens, right? I don't do quite as many videos as I once did. Um, because things are just different. Things just kind of slow down, and I'm not drinking as much beer as I did for a lot of reasons. Some of them are health reasons, and other things. But yeah, I've never saw myself as a beer reviewer, right? Because a beer reviewer just talks about the beer, and I've always talked about other things. That's why I've never considered myself a reviewer. I'm just somebody who's out having a beer and a conversation. Because I would give you flavors and aromas of the beer and my thoughts on the beer, but I would always in every video I would talk about other things besides the beer. So I've never saw myself as a beer reviewer, nor did I want to be considered a beer reviewer for that. Because in my opinion, mind you, a reviewer is basically a critic, and a critic's job is to find something wrong. And I've never wanted to open a beer and find anything wrong. I want to open a beer and find everything right. Now, there's been a few times I've been disappointed, but I've never wanted to do negative videos. And of all the videos I've done on YouTube, over 3,000 at this point. there's probably less than a dozen that are negative. Now, it's not that I haven't had more than a dozen negative beers. It's just I don't want to be negative. It's just not who I am. There's only a few times where I felt so strongly about a certain thing that I had to just go ahead and put it out there. Oh, mercy. So Cinco de Mayo. I hope everybody's having a fine Cinco de Mayo. I know it doesn't mean anything to us white folks. At this point, it's kind of become like a St. Patrick's Day. It's just a reason to eat Mexican food and drink beer. But I have had a lot of Hispanic friends over the years that for them it does mean a little bit more than that. Like for St. Patrick's Day, for me, it is a little bit more than just getting drunk. There's a lot of tradition involved in St. Patrick's Day for me. So, and I know for a lot of Hispanic folks it is too, but a lot of us white guys just want to get drunk. For me, it's just about it's more about paying respect, right? It's more about paying homage, and I love Mexican food. I love to cook Mexican food, and I like to get as close to authentic as humanly possible. Because I've learned from folks over the years. I mean, I grew up in Southern California, and I learned from various Hispanic friends and neighbors, the styles that they grew up with. And then, like I said, I went to Las Cruces, New Mexico, where they have a kind of different perspective, and then El Paso, Texas. Now, El Paso, Texas is different from the rest of Texas, right? El Paso, Texas is not that Tex-Mex. It isn't. It is El Paso, Texas is very Mexican, very authentic Mexican. So what I cook now, in all honesty, is sort of an amalgam. Cheers, man. I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks. Ask as many questions as you like. And as always, again, one more time, if anybody wants to be part of the video, let me know and I'll send you the link and you can jump on and have a conversation with me. There we go. Anyways, I need to get that there. I was having, I've had a hard to maybe more clearly answer that question. I've been having a hard time drinking beer lately, so I haven't been drinking as much. I've been feeling bloated, but now that I've had a situation come up where I mean I've needed to lose weight for a long time, and I've kind of gone back and forth, and I start making some progress, and then things go away. But now I've got a situation where I absolutely well, I don't know how much I can lose in a short period of time, but I need to start making some other choices. So that's kind of where I'm at now. So I'm drinking less beer. I'm going to have a little wine with you right now, actually. I was going to do some sangria, but I didn't want to really add anything else to it. I just want to drink the wine. I've got Kiltoy Nine Ladies. Kiltoy is a winery just a little north of Joplin. They're very good. I've kind of decided I like the drier reds. And this is if I can remember right, it's a Norton and Chamberson blend. Chamberson blend, I should say. Uh, yeah, well, part of that is over the last year. Right about exactly a year, to be honest with you. Well, not quite, but pretty close. It was last year this time. My wife and I found Kiltoy Winery, and we each did a tasting and kind of enjoyed it. And since then, we've been trying to go to or as many wineries, Missouri wineries, as we could. So we were trying to learn about some different wines and wine styles. She tends to like the sweeter wines. The more I've sampled, I do like the drier reds, but in particular, I do love the Chamberson and the Nortons that I really seem to like a lot. Yeah, I believe that, Jeff, and I haven't had that issue, but I do need to cut my beer drinking down. And I'm not enjoying it as much as I once did. I do still enjoy the taste, but like I said, I mean, drinking these two now, again, I'm just so bloated I couldn't drink anymore if I had to. So there's something I will tell you, but uh, I I found out earlier in the week, and I didn't want to say anything before now because I needed to tell the people that needed to be told, right? Like my employer, for instance, you know. So now that that's been done, so I had an appointment with orthopedic surgeon the other day. Um, so about 5 years ago, I had surgery for a meniscus tear on my left knee. They explained the surgery to me, so it was going to be fairly simple. Unfortunately, after the surgery was over, he said that they had to take out more meniscus than they had originally thought, and there was more arthritis than the X-rays or than they could see on the X-rays. So this new set of X-rays showed a lot of arthritis, and that there was absolutely no cartilage or meniscus left. The left knee is completely bone on bone on this point. At this point, so I have to have some surgery done. Uh, and he recommended it as soon as possible. So I'm going in for a total knee replacement on May 31st. So I'm going to be out of commission for a little bit. So the videos are going to be less and less. So you're not going to see, there's going to be a period of time where you won't see me for a little bit until I get off whatever pain medication they give me, and then gradually, because I'm not going to be drinking while I'm having to use a walker, right? That just doesn't make sense. So he said you have to use a walker for about a month. So I'm, again, my lifestyle's got to change a little bit, and I know I need to lose some weight, so I'm going to try to take advantage of this period of time, and because getting that knee healthy again is going to take a little work. So you're on a walker for 4 weeks and then a cane for 4 weeks. So I will be out of commission for a little bit. I still may pop on to do some videos, not drinking, just to kind of keep you apprised of what's going on. A lot of some of the videos that I made when our son was in the hospital going through leukemia, I'd made a few videos of kind of chronicling what he was going through. But so I may do something similar to that after my knee surgery. So that's what's going on there. Uh, I just put it off. I put it off because I mean he told me 5 years ago I need to have it done. He said it wasn't necessarily an emergency, but you're going to have it done. So I remember at that time we ran it. The insurance company could have approved it, but we still would have had to pay quite a bit. So I knew not only could we not afford how much the surgery was going to cost, we couldn't afford for me to be out of work for 3 months, right? And that's kind of the situation. We had to wait until we were able to do something, but uh, this, with this particular situation, it just couldn't be helped, right? Where I'm at the point where the knee, whether we can afford it or not, the knee has to be fixed because it's done. It's no longer, it's no longer working, man. There is no cartilage left, so I got to figure something out. I didn't really have any option here at this point because my wife will tell you if there's any way I could have put anything off, I will put it off. I will procrastinate everything. So yeah, if I could have put off the surgery any longer, I probably could have. But I was at the point where even I realized that yeah, we probably ought to just go ahead and do it because I've been in a lot of pain for a very long time. That knee hurts constantly. I mean, it wakes me up at night. I mean, my pain level is never less than a 5, and usually by the time I go to bed in the evening, it's at a 9, and keeping in mind that for me a 10 is out where you can't move at all. So and I'm pretty close to that most nights. And I finally got to the point where I knew I was going to have this surgery done when the doctor said, well, we need to have it done. He said, no, you can tell me you can wait. You want to wait till the fall to get things in order, but I'm telling you, you have to have this done. So basically things weren't going to improve. The pain's not going to get any better, and that the cartilage isn't going to magically grow back. So that's kind of the situation we're in at this particular time. So I'll probably go about a month without doing some videos. Well, without doing any drinking anyway. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Oh well, I'll at least wait till I get to the cane stage of the recovery before I start tempting fate at all. Anyways, I digress. I know not everybody celebrates days like Cinco de Mayo. If it doesn't mean anything to you, it doesn't mean anything. I know folks tend to get their knickers in a twist about St. Patrick's Day. Man, if you don't want to celebrate, don't celebrate, but don't take it away from the rest of us. For my family, I'm not to say I don't drink on St. Patrick's Day because I do, but we made traditions in our family here with the kids. The leprechaun would visit, right? The leprechaun wasn't Santa Claus, though, right? The leprechaun would kind of make a mess, he kind of mess things up a little bit, but then he'd leave like one something. You're right, he'd leave like some chocolate coins and then one thing they want. It wasn't Santa Claus because it kind of made a little mess, but not too much to clean up. The leprechaun would drop a couple taters around, and it was a nice little tradition for the kids. Then as they got older, it kind of evolved, especially with our son Seamus. Seamus loved to cook, so for him, it actually became more about planning the menu. Right? I mean, he would spend at least 2 or 3 months thinking about the menu he wanted for St. Patrick's Day. I mean, he put a lot of thought into it. So him and I would brainstorm a few things, and we would look at, he would get online actually and start looking up different recipes, things that we tried that he wanted again, and then different things. He really liked cold. Once he discovered a recipe for cold can, and we tried it, and then he liked it so well, we did that every year. Yeah, he really liked cold can, and so we kept doing that one. I like champ too, so I do champ every once in a while as well. Just a different version using potatoes. Irish are all about potatoes, so corned beef. Usually do a corned beef, even though that's more of an Irish American thing than a traditional Irish. I'd usually make some stew. I try to do it as close to authentic Irish stew as possible without using lamb. Right, I'm not crazy about lamb. Sometimes I'd use beef, but I like to use pork. But use the Irish spice palette. I try to not make an American stew. I try to go as close as I basically use an Irish stew recipe, but just eliminate the lamb. I'm just not crazy about lamb, and my kids didn't like lamb either. So we'd usually do beef or pork. And then again, sometimes we'd kind of do our take on certain things, right? One year we did like an Irish cabbage rolls, kind of did like the corned beef and the cabbage, everything just kind of potato, the corned beef and potatoes were, in a cabbage roll. We tried to do kind of one nouveau thing a year. And that was usually all up to Seamus. Seamus would have an idea, and we just try to execute it. Seamus had this great palate. He was able to taste something and immediately tell you what it needed or if it was perfect. Right? You say, "Well, add this herb, Dad, or add this spice, Dad, or add just a little bit of that, a little bit of this." And Dad, it needs just a little more salt, or a little more butter, a little more this, a little more that, a little more parsley, a little more chive. He was perfect that way. I don't know. He just had that perfect palate. Anyway, I'm going to end this conversation. I'm going to get off that train of thought before I start getting sad. That's why, again, I guess the point I was trying to make through all that is, I understand why Cinco de Mayo is important to some, and for me, maybe the idea of Cinco de Mayo isn't as important. But again, it goes back to our tradition. Again, with especially Seamus, who is such a foodie. Again, it would be about planning the menu for Cinco de, even though we looked at it different than maybe our Hispanic friends did. It was about finding the Mexican food that we like to fix. So thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that, man. Good old Jeff. Jeff's got one of the best voices in the beer business. He does some great beer reviews, New England beer reviews. He does other beers besides New England beer reviews, but that's his handle. New England beer reviews, NEBR. Uh, Anyway, this one is a little shorter than my typical video, but I want to do a little monologue, and I don't want to end it on a sour note either. That I'd, get a little more upbeat and kind of inform you what's going on. And I'll probably after we get to the 31st, you're not going to see me for a little bit. It's going to be weird being out of work. I've been at my current job for we're closing in on 5 years anyway, and I really enjoy it. Not being able to do that's going to be very difficult. Having me at home is going to be difficult for my wife. Having to deal with you full time is going to be something. Anyway, yeah, and then about a little over 2 months ago, I decided to take on a part time job working with a local brewery. That's been a lot of fun for me that I've enjoyed. That's kind of been like a mental rest for me, right? It's kind of a stress reliever working at this brewery, even though it has been hard on the knee. I'm not going to lie about that, but being able to be in the beer business again, being able to talk about beer and talk to people, man, that job has just been such a stress reliever for me. So not being able to do that, it's going to be very rough. And knowing I'm going to have to go through a lot of therapy. I mean, uh, yeah. So I'm gonna have to kind of recondition myself here. My wife's concerned about the food situation, though. Wife's concerned about the food situation because I do all the cooking. Well, I do most of the cooking. I should say all the cooking. She does all the baking, do all the desserts, but I do most of the meals. So I guess we're both kind of a little concerned about how we're going to handle this particular phase. If we were looking to see if we should bring in some ready-made meals. I don't know. We're just going to have to. Wife says live on peanut butter and jelly. We may not be too far from that. Between not being able to cook and what our finances are going to be like with me not working for 3 months. So things are going to be a little tight here at the Beer Whisper residence, but we'll be fine. Don't worry about us. I'm not saying that to make you feel sorry for me. Everybody goes through stuff. So, anyways, having said all that, I'm going to wrap up this last glass of wine. Thanks those that tuned in. I may come back later today with my typical. I do typically do a 7 to 9 just to Facebook, but today I tied it in with the at the pub because I had some things I want to get off my chest. But I may come back later with a 9. Who knows? Anyway, I am Tom the Beer Whisperer, even though I'm drinking some wine at this particular moment in time. Beer evangelist, prolific beer drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and all around good guy. Sláinte. Ah.